Welcome, everybody, to another episode of African Wealth. I am your host, Bradley Bailey, and I am joined by Patrick Chambliss. First off, I want to talk about how can people get into Africa? How can people get into going to Africa? How can people navigate Africa? How can people do their research, due diligence to search which country they would want to go to? For me, I know I first researched with YouTube and read articles on whatever country I wanted to go to. I started off with Ghana, got into YouTube, watched Dinus Amir and him traveling around West Africa and Ghana and Nigeria and Senegal, so on and so on, and got into just looking up things online via documents, reading articles, seeing what's going on, reading the news on those countries. And I actually got a part into some of the guests that he had were like the Black Infrastructure Organization. They were doing their thing, and I was like, I want to be a part of that and try to help them build infrastructure in Africa, because I mean, I like that idea, having income and living in Africa and just surviving in a country that's a black country. But I went into there, got into the chats and all that stuff, and got to network with people and found out that people know people. We had a trip to Rwanda and did my research on Rwanda. Went to Rwanda. We didn't have a tour guide, but we did have someone who was a local who was knowledgeable of the area, and we just rolled with them, you know. But there's a lot of different ways you can go about that, and everybody's situation is unique. So but there's a lot of different tactics and ways you can use. And I think having a tour guide has its benefits, but it's also an expensive route, which I would say actually having somebody local who knows the area, who may not be a tour guide, but knows the area enough to where you can start planning out things like going to these museums and checking out the culture, and going to these popular destinations, beaches and all this other stuff, as well as taking a look at the economic side and looking at just general things of day-to-day life in that country. But does anyone have anything else to add on to this?
Well, first you would need to have an interest in that. And once you have that interest, then you can the research will come naturally. Like most people usually Google, and it will probably be redirected to YouTube videos to people that have already been there. I did that too. Like me, you pretty much, or pretty much everybody in this episode pretty much had the same or similar route as you. Hence why we all know each other because of taking that. But yeah, like for me now, like what I do, I actually get to the point now that I actually look at people that actually live there, and that's really because of the Rwanda trip that me both attended. Because we met a bunch of Americans that actually live in Kigali, Rwanda, and that's what sparked even more interest of seeing like how is like the everyday lifestyle, and how quickly can somebody from the diaspora actually adapt to the various African societies. And for what my research has shown so far, that it's pretty, even from even visiting ourselves and us having these conversations, it's pretty similar in a lot of ways, but it's also very different. So, but it's all up to that individual which country they have interest in going to, and then from there they'll do the necessary research they need to go about actually going there and experiencing the country to its fullest while they're there.
Got you. And I know for us also, we're planning a trip for Namibia, and how we got to this point is because for the most part, we know nothing. When we first started, we know nothing about Namibia. We just knew that it looked like it would be a good starting area to start off, and we looked into it, did our research that they had available online, YouTube, all that good stuff. Found a guy who lived there, talked to him a little bit, because we again watched a YouTube video of him having an interview with somebody. Talked to him on Facebook, got to interview him, let everybody in the AEF talk to him and see how Namibia was. His name was Brian Willer, and he owns a coffee shop, and now he also has a medical weed farm in Namibia and
Lesotho.
And that was a good starting point. We also had someone who knew somebody in our organization that that talked to a guy who lived in their area that also lives in Namibia. Talked to him for a good bit, and then he hooked us up with somebody who is actually right now in the area, who knows the area pretty well and can show us around. Talked to him, and he wants to set everything else up to where we can come through and just explore the country and talk about various things, especially the economics of everything. And we do have a strategy when we get there. Yes, we're gonna do the tourist things and explore the country and go to the beaches and see the sights, but we also have a purpose. We're not just going to go there and just see the sights and go home. We have a purpose. Our purpose, after we're good with that, we're to talk with the people. We want to see what the culture is like. We want to see what the people are doing. We want to see how the government is like. We want to see just those basic things, and then we go into the business side, and we want to see like for me doing construction, I want to see where they're getting their materials from, how much their materials cost, their building materials, and to see where can we fit in. I want to see how much the housing market, how the housing market is doing. I want to see a lot of different things based on my field, and I want to keep note of everything that I'm learning. Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm not there to go live in retirement. I'm there to build. I'm there to create wealth. I know for a lot of people it'll be their first time in Africa, and hey man, I would say party it up, but also know hey we're here for business too. So and we got to get on the ground and we got to do some research. So just knowing friends of friends, like use Facebook to your advantage. WhatsApp is a very popular app that people outside of America use
Yeah,
daily.
a lot. So if you do plan on going, that's a highly recommended app to utilize. Yeah, but yeah, both all of Facebook's products, which is Facebook itself, Instagram, and WhatsApp, use those three as more so WhatsApp and well, more so Facebook. But WhatsApp is really just a general like conference, like so you actually have a conversation with people that live on the continent. And then Instagram too, you can also utilize that to like get like a artistic sense, I would say, outside of a video of what the country provides and what the country like has tours wise. So
With WhatsApp, I mean, I use that out in Japan, too. Japan, Korea, everywhere they use it. That
yeah,
is very popular. If you're going outside of America, you need to get that out. But and other than that, like ways to start, you can if you're very serious about it, you can cold start on Facebook. Just talk to people you know from those countries that say they're from those countries. Get to pick their brains of what their country is about and all that stuff. Maybe they can hook you up with somebody that can help you out. And like I said, also like if you want to get a tour guide, that's a very viable option.
yeah, it's a very useful option, but it may be a little costly, but it's worth the money. I'll say
Yeah,
that. Even though
they
we didn't have one, but from the rest of the group that we was with, they thoroughly enjoyed their time with the tour. For
because
them, it was
they have more connections that they can connect you if you choose a good tour guide. Like and also like I said, networking with African centered groups, like people who talk about Africa regularly, who are visiting Africa, who are they 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 know people. Because they've been to these countries before, they have explored these countries. They know a lot of people who can help you out, and they will be willing to help you out. And another thing is like I know we got some single people like you can network with people over on the continent. Like I see a lot of guys and gals talking to guys or girls over on the continent. They're talking deeply and they go visit and they have a good connection with somebody to help them explore, you know? And that's a foot in the door already because you're getting a deep look into the culture because you're talking with someone you trust who's in that culture. I
yeah,
mean,
that's also without hesitation as well.
like, I seen it, and people have great times because and you got to know that people are connected with like more African Americans are getting connected with Africa. You have people out there, you just have to search for. You have to connect in the groups that they will be at. And like I said again, like the AEF, the African Economic Foundation, the Black African Infrastructure Organization, the Ledge Group, any of these organizations, I bet you they know somebody because I met a lot of people.
So have I.
And there's a lot of other groups, or well, I wouldn't say a lot, but there's some other groups out there like like those groups that can also help out. So it's just talking to people. If you're not using a tour guide, yeah, it's just getting out there talking to people, doing your due diligence, doing your research, YouTube, read articles, talk to people online, get their point of view and everything. It's always good to get multiple points of views because not everybody's are the same. So
That yes, that is definitely true. You have few people that will have like a bad experience and then try to paint that as as that one person as the entire country or even the entire continent. That's not. Also, too, don't worry about 'cause I just had a conversation with the sister too on Instagram because she actually has interest in visiting Africa too. But she was saying that she felt that she might stick out when she's there. I can tell you right now, you're not. Most people, like especially we was in the eastern central part of Africa, and most people didn't even know or even question if we was the local Rwandan or not until we actually spoke. So that's another thing you don't have to look. But again, search yourself into like pretty much search yourself. I would recommend going with a group that's already planning on going to a country of your liking, or if you don't, or if you don't even have a country that you feel like going, you just want to just go in general. I would still say go with a group so you can like build that network and communication within that travel as well. Because that group you never know. They might actually they might know some people that's in different parts of the continent that live there or from there, and that could just be your little group of travel buddies and potential business partners if you guys even want to go that far. So connections is key.